called the magic ratio and actually works like magic. According to relationship researcher John Gottman, it takes 5 positive comments to outweigh 1 negative comment. My next guest believes that parents should use that 5-to-1 ratio to their advantage. Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson wants you to be more mindful of what's exiting your mouth, because the more positive it is, the better your family relationships will be. Welcome, Heather.
Thanks.
I love the idea of watering the flowers versus the weeds. And I think that 5-to-1 positive ratio really speaks to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool to see that no matter the relationship, this ratio actually continues to show us really positive relationship results. It doesn't matter if it's in your marriage, it doesn't matter if it's with your children, it doesn't matter if it's coworkers. If we're focusing more on the positive, it is going to build. And so we want to be doing that all the time.
So when you're saying the positive matters, it's not only with our children, it's with everybody. Why is that positive impact so big?
It's with everybody, absolutely. And the positive impact is going to do a couple really powerful things. One, it's going to build a relationship, right? When I'm focused on what's positive, when I'm looking to exchange those things between the two of us, then it's going to build that relationship. And here's what's so cool. As parents, or even as grandparents, when we work hard to build those relationships, it gives us the foundation so that when we do need to say the hard things, when we do need to have the challenging conversations, we've got that really great foundation that can support all the other things that we need to say. It builds self-image, which is pretty amazing. It helps our kids feel better about who they are. And I know it's shocking because sometimes as parents we don't believe this, but the more positive we are, the better the behavior we're going to see from our kids. We see different behavior from them when that's what we're focused on. And this can be kind of hard because as parents, we tend to trend negative. We do tend to go that way,
right,
where we feel frustrated or stressed. And so the negative comments come out first. Oftentimes when parents are embarrassed, we will then be more negative with our kids, right? If they've done something, if we're out in public, if we feel like someone is judging our parenting, we tend to get pretty negative with our kids. And we even get negative with them when we want change quickly, when our kids are doing something we don't love and we want the behavior to change really fast.
Right.
All of that elicits the negative. So we tend to trend negative unless we work hard to trend positive. We want to put our energy into that.
And it kind of speaks to this new age parenting where we are taking on more of that I'm sorry role, where we're taking accountability, where we're trying to be more positive because that's what we want to see in our kids. And I love that. So how can we distinguish between that positive and negative comments when it comes to communicating with our kids? Because I think that can be tricky sometimes.
It can be tricky sometimes. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to look at a couple of things. We're going to look at our intent, we're going to look at our tone, and we're going to look at our wording. And if we can just keep those things in the back of our mind, for example, we want to check our intent at the door as parents, right? Are we offering up comments to our kids and the things that we say to our teenagers because we're trying to help with solutions? Are we trying to offer empathy? Or are we trying to criticize? Are we trying to get them to change something we don't like? Are we expressing frustration? We got to check our intent at the door. We've also got to make sure that we watch our tone. Are we short? Are we curt? Are we impatient in the words that come out of our mouths? Or is there patience to them? Are they filled with love? Again, is the tone, is it empathetic? Is it kind? That tone means the world to our kids and especially to our teenagers. They hear that and they respond. In fact, maybe you've even had one of your kids or your teenagers look back at you and say, hey, that tone, right? I have a hard time with your tone. And so tone is a big one. We want to make sure that we're watching that. And then we want to make sure that we're really cautious of the words that we use, that we're using words that have to do with behavior, that don't have to do with shaming them, that we're making sure that the words we offer are, again, filled with kindness, that they're filled with empathy, that they're patient words. And when we're frustrated and overwhelmed, we don't tend to use patient words. And our tone does tend to get a little uncomfortable. And we recognize that we're not watching what our intent is. So it's a really good gauge. It's a good gauge.
So if you're feeling a little bit uneasy and maybe a little bit worried, Heather's got hope for us. The first, you're saying ways we can be more positive with our kids. First is actively ignore.
Yes, we're going to actively ignore. So here's the thing. Actively ignoring means that we're going to watch the things that our kids do that aren't great, right? And we're going to ignore them. And here's why. I know it's really uncomfortable to do, right? Let's take a teenager who might roll their eyes at you. And so quickly we want to say, don't roll your eyes, don't roll your eyes. And we want to point out that negative. But here's the thing. The attention that kids get from their parents is so powerful that they will do whatever they can to get more of that attention. So if we're giving them attention every time they roll their eyes, they're more likely to keep rolling their eyes because they're getting attention.
Right.
That's how powerful our attention is to them. So active ignoring means that you're going to go ahead and let that happen. They know full well that they're rolling their eyes. They know full well what's going on. And as soon as they stop that, or as soon as the behavior starts to improve, that's when we hit them with all of the energy and with all of the attention and the positive comments. So now they're getting that powerful attention from us, and they want to keep doing those things to get more of that attention. That's what actively ignoring is. And it's a little uncomfortable for parents. Our kids do things and we immediately want to point out, don't do that, stop doing that, change that. Instead of realizing, wait, I'm giving those negative things a lot of energy. Pull back, keep that energy in and save it for the positive things, and you will get more positive. They want that attention.
That's a good goal, good goal. Okay, next you say focus on behavior and not character.
And not character. So when we're talking about behavior, we're speaking to just that, what they're doing or what they're not doing, opposed to who they actually are. So instead of saying you're lazy, right, to point out that there might be room for them to pay more attention in certain ways, that would be behavior versus who they are. We want to talk about their behavior. We also want to find ways to support the positive behavior often. Even little things, like I know our daughter, she's a junior in high school, and one of the things she gets to do every day is get up early to get to school and to get to practice and to do those things. Little comments about her behavior that are specific as possible, where I can shoot her a text, halfway through the afternoon or the morning that says, hey, thanks for always working so hard to be up on time to get to school. Those little tiny things make her then want to get up to get to school more often. And we're not speaking to, hey, you were lazy or you didn't do it right. We're speaking to the behavior that helps them not even fall in line, just do those things that we can recognize might be challenging that help benefit our family.
I love the specificity of like pointing out something that they may work really hard at, or even may if it come easier to them, but pointing it out in that specificity. Sorry, excuse me. Don't criticize.
Yeah, we want to guide them where we want them to go instead of being critical of either where they're not or where we don't think they can go. So this is, again, that tendency we have to be critical about what's not going well instead of guiding them towards what we know they can do. So let's say you're helping one of your kids with homework and we want to say, hey, you don't focus enough, or you're not doing a good job here, or I need you to. Instead, to look at them and say, hey, let's you and I work together to see if we can't sit still for a minute and take care of this math problem. And now we're guiding them where we want to go. It's us seeing in them what their potential is and speaking to the positives of that. So instead of pointing out where they're not or what they're not achieving, to be able to say to them, hey, I know that these things are possible for you, so let's you and I work to get there. We want to lead them. We can even say to them, hey, thanks for sitting still so that you and I can work on this math together.
Right.
No, are they sitting still? No, actually they're not. Right?
Well,
and have they stopped rolling their eyes?
Right.
No, not necessarily. But to say, hey, thanks for working on not rolling your eyes so that you and I can continue to have a great relationship. We're leading them where we want them to go. We're guiding them there instead of being critical of the things or the places that they're falling short.
No one wants to feel like a problem.
We don't want to feel like a problem.
No. Okay, 60 seconds left. Let's bust through these last two. Be positive after corrections.
This is a really big deal. Oftentimes when there's room for correction with our kids, we are not very patient or kind after. We feel offended or disrespected or annoyed or irritated. And so when there is room, because there's absolutely room where we need to offer corrections, where we need to have those hard, or we could look at them as maybe more negative comments or conversations, we want to make sure that first we always follow it up with an increase of love. Always. Love should abound after those conversations and those comments. And not only that, we need to check ourselves to make sure that we don't allow the fact that we feel disrespected or frustrated or had to put in extra energy or work to then taint the way we treat our kids once we talk about it. We tend to do that, right? We're frustrated because we've had to have the same conversation 10 times. And so then we decide that we're going to just be a little bit quiet or a little standoffish. We want to make sure we show up with character there too. And last, it really helps us be more positive when we're focused way more on the ta-das or the small wins instead of the to-dos, right? Even just keeping that in our head, we are so quick to remind our kids about all the things that they're not accomplishing on that to-do list. Instead, put in the back of your mind to think about and focus on all the ta-das. See it as very small wins. looking at our kids and pointing out all the ways that we can help them say, ta-da, this is what I did today. This is what I accomplished. This is what I worked through. Focus on those things, and they will find much more positive in their life from us than the negative.
So good. No one wants to feel like a problem. Everybody wants more positive. We should give that to our kids.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Heather.